It is Friday here in Accra, Ghana. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. And coming up this evening,
slip, mere mistake, or hidden message.
Well, we have more on that for you shortly. Plus, here from the NDC, who say John Mahama's name is permanently registered in the minds of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh.
Also ahead in this bulletin, political markets have slammed successive governments over penchant to inaugurate last-minute projects, saying they do nothing to influence the voting pattern.
People would forget that they've done ABCD, and as a result may not count in terms of the voters' consideration. And so they would rather want to push it to the end so that they can showcase delivery. Obviously, a misconception to how the voter thinks.
But Vice President Dr. Bawumia disagrees as he lobbies Ghanaians to retain the NPP following what he describes as unprecedented infrastructural transformation in the country.
They doubted us again. They challenged us. But today, under one district, one factory, we have completed over 150 factories in Ghana. And one of the factories that we have completed, this over 150, is the Wale Wale watermelon processing factory.
Also coming up, Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Inchi-Boesiako, popularly known as Chairman Wuntumi, lashes out at Alan Tremanting over his rebuttal to ex-President Kufuor's endorsement of Bawumia.
And much later, political science lecturer Dr. Asasante downplays impact of religion and ethnicity in the upcoming polls.
To read the literature in this country relative to elections, ethnicity and religion do not play any important role at all.
Later on the campaign show tonight, we sit with the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the Ododo-Diodio constituency. We have the details of this and many other stories making up the 1 hour 30 minutes broadcast. Do stay.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Sonali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Star 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM.
Grateful for the company this evening. Welcome aboard Ghana's most comprehensive news analysis program, Starr, today here on Star 103.5 FM. And as always, we are streaming on Facebook, so you can join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Star 103.5 FM. And we invite you to share your thoughts, your comments, your views, and contributions to the stories we will be tackling this evening. It's a Friday edition, and so I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. And I'm here.
Superstar Joshua Kodjo Mensah.
And I'm here with the superstar Tutuwaa. Danso.
Okay, that's okay. We start off the bulletin on some interesting note. We want to find out, is it a slip, mere mistake, or a hidden message? While the NPP's running mate, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has in an uncharacteristic manner slipped on the campaign trail. At a campaign event held at the UPSC auditorium, Dr. Opoku Prempeh urged voters in the Medina constituency to vote for former President John Dramani Mahama instead of his candidates. Well, Dr. Bawumia, you remember how in the build-up to the 2020 elections, President Kufuor also slipped and endorsed Ododo-Diodio's MP for that area, Nilanti van der Poel. Let's refresh our memories a bit.
What's on the dean or card? Drada Bay. I want to fear what for now in this one actual one day. Now call polling station. I would do war. If you say, electoral commission, I know. A very easy. I'm about to another. Now, Kona Kotuaba no. Now, Kotsra Wajin. Yan Peggy Gidia. Takashibia. Obia or Peso de Takashiba for Abemu. No, the chronim himself. Nasam and yet there. Intin of the Taka. So what's the matter there? Oh, here Takashi. So the back of Abemu. Now, Miss Samo. Obia and Kotomo being safe and can say, oh, I bet Nana when you're down. Ain't he? And here, say, Obekoto. And here, so Obekoto. Now, do Hano. More trauma, mia. No more trauma, Neil and Vanderpool. But, say, Mankani Yukra, Neil and Bannerman. Ah! I'm asking the gods of English to pardon me.
Well, so that's the president in 2020. Osinano from Basa Basa. In other words, he slipped Basa Basa. So he asked the gods to forgive him. But fast forward to 2024, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has taken that slip a step further. Listen.
Well, that was the NPP's vice presidential candidate, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, there, saying that Mahama instead of probably mentioning Dr. Bawumia. But we will find out if one can cry or it was just a slip of tongue. But let's go over the phone lines now and have a conversation with the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC in charge of operations, Mustafa Gbande. Mustafa, thank you very much for joining us on the bulletin. Now, what I want to find out from you, first of all, is this is what NAPO has had to say, and your communicators are jubilating on social media. Why is that?
Thank you very much, and good evening to our cherished listeners. I think they are not jubilating, but it's just unfortunate, because that has been the typical nature of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. His ways of doing things, his reasoning, what precedes his mouth, the kind of statements he makes, the combined effect of same cannot be a slip of tongue, cannot be something he would have said out of a joke, but it's just a man who speaks before he goes to analyze what he has said. And so this is why I have always referred your colleagues to the fact that would you intend to use Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as a role model for which your children must learn from? If you put a combined effect of the things he says, how he says them, since he emerged into the scenes of running mates, I've not seen Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh stand before audience and make a statement that is problem-solving oriented. But the priority of the people of Ghana is about who solves their problem, who removes the inflicted burdens of economic hardship on them. I have not seen Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh do anything close to that. What he has sought to do is to insult, is to divide society, is to attack, and learning to lie. And I think that is what I said the other time. I think he gets intoxicated sometimes before he gets to the podium.
Because we can't really authenticate that, and I don't think that is the focus of the conversation. But Mustafa, why would NAPO want to mount a campaign podium and endorse your presidential candidates when clearly he has to support his presidential candidates? You don't think that it was a slip, and so the jubilations ongoing on social media are completely needless?
It's a man with low cognitive analysis. And of course, the fact that the reality of the situation is that Mahama's name
dominate even in the minds of his opponents. President Mahama today is the choice of everyone. It's a dream of every Ghanaian to see him become president once more. We cannot bestow the destiny of our country in the hands of people who are not serious. Excuse my language. People whose campaign is full of music and dance. They have never discussed anything close to solving the problem of the ordinary Ghanaian.
I beg to differ because I have heard them mount, the campaign podium to talk about the plans they have for Ghana. So it cannot be entirely true that they just go on the stage to play music and dance.
By the way, who told you that NAPO doesn't want President Mahama to be president? Because he himself had a presidential ambition. And he doesn't want Mahmoud Bawumia to be president. Because NAPO is the choice of his cabal, so that he will contest the next election and become the flag bearer of the MPP. That is why, when he was a minister, he makes a lot of sense than when he became a running mate. The only reason is that he pretends to be a fool when he is not. He wants President Mahama to win, so that they will find a way of
Mustafa, for purposes of respect for our audience, I would rather we refrain from using such words on the program.
I apologize and I withdraw that, but I'm just saying that I apologize, but I'm just saying that NAPO knows what he's doing. Because when he was a minister, he sounded and made a lot of sense than when he became a vice president. A vice presidential status, a running mate, the slot that one expects that you will brand yourself as a source of consolation, a source of, a rest for the people, a solution to the problems of the people. NAPO have never acquitted himself to that. It's deliberate. It's deliberate because he wants President Mahama to win. So that he himself, because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, they know, have no locus in the MPP. He has no reference in the MPP. He hasn't proven himself to be much a better candidate. The weakest candidate MPP has ever presented for any election. And as such, NAPO will come from the Ashanti region to contest strongly against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia when they are all in opposition. So I'm not surprised that he will be praising President Mahama. And of course, President Mahama resonates with the people of Ghana. And so NAPO is also a Ghanaian.
And NAPO supports President Mahama as compared to his his presidential candidates.
Yeah, that is correct. Because that is what he actually means. NAPO wants President Mahama to be a president so that he will come and contest for MPP flag bearership.
I see. Very interesting thoughts there, but thank you very much. Mustafa Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC in charge of operations. Joshua, that's what he had to say.
The belief that this is not a mankani ye cry. This is
a deliberate attempt
yes.
to give Mahama more advantage over Bawumia.
It is interesting.
I don't understand.
It is interesting. But we'll be getting answers from Fifi Boafo, who is campaign spokesperson of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. But let's go back, listen to Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh again on this subject. So that's the Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh
the vice
in
presidential
Medina,
candidate.
in Medina, and he was endorsing the Medina NPP parliamentary candidate for the area. But let's get on the phone lines now. Let's engage the campaign spokesperson for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Fifi Boafo has joined me on the phone lines. Fifi, thank you so much for your time this evening. So your opponents say that this is not a slip-up. It's actually Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh's intent, because he believes that John Mahama deserves to be president, and not necessarily because he wants Dr. Bawumia to win the elections. How do you respond to this?
It's not a slip-up, but it's what?
It's deliberate. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh wants Dr. Bawumia to lose the election. John Mahama wins in 2028. He goes to contest for the presidency. That's what the NDC is saying.
And did you listen to the full clip? sorry, did you listen to the full clip?
Oh, I listened to excerpts of it.
And what do you make of the full clip?
Well, I heard Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh say that what he wanted to say was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and not necessarily Mahama, but he mentioned John, and Dr. Bawumia is not John.
Yes, so he said it was you say that it was the people you claim said it was not a slip but a deliberate sin. Why would he go further to say when he was talking about Dr. Bawumia if that was genuinely what he meant to say, John Mahama? Anyway, let me make the point. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is human. Slips are part of human beings. At no point in time would Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh prefer John Dramani Mahama to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He has advanced arguments at several platforms to the effect that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a better option for our country compared to what John Mahama presents. So at no point in time would he elevate John Dramani Mahama to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has demonstrated to all of us as Ghanaians that as vice president and John Dramani Mahama as vice president, he was more capable than what John Mahama presents for us as a country. So at no point in time would he suggest that John Mahama is a better option. But of course, if you have a person who has been on stage talking for a number of minutes, it's human that, yes, at one point in time, something may come out, and he is also human to make the point that, okay, so that's not what I intended presenting, but rather I was talking about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So as for people who seek to cash in on this, I'm sorry, they are only salivating for something that is non-existent. It's surprising that this is actually gaining currency. The reason why I say it is surprising that this is actually gaining currency is that I've not heard on your network, maybe I did not listen, but I think that I've not heard where your network is talking about the fact that only yesterday, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh was in Utram, where he inspected a building facility he has put up as a memorial house and a library for Professor John Evans Atamiot, who John Mahama served as his vice president. Something to honor him. Maybe this is not newsworthy or this is not...
Fifi, we have tackled that. We tackled that yesterday.
Yes, but I believe that things like that are the things that I'm not in any way saying that I'm going to tell you what is of newsworthy or not, but I believe that slips are human. These are things, yes, you can mention it in person, but it is not something we must give it that energy, oxygen, elevate it to a very high conversation, because yes, it's human.
So it was a genuine slip and not that John Mahama is registered in the minds of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh.
Yeah, there's a need for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh to talk about John Mahama. The reason why he has to talk about John Mahama is that we are going to an election. The persons who are 18 years today who are going to vote, these persons were 10 years old at the time John Mahama was exiting as president. They may not have known the fact that John Mahama forced us to stay in darkness for almost 5 years. They may not know that John Mahama, as president, made us queue before we buy fuel, before we buy gas at the filling station. They may not know that John Mahama is the one who cancelled nurses and teachers' allowance. They may not know that under John Mahama as president, chalk was an essential commodity in our country. So there's a need for him to tell the public that the person who is coming back to us, seeking our mandate to govern our country, is called John Mahama, has ruled the country before. When he ruled as the president of our country, the troubles he caused us, there's a need for us to remind ourselves. He's only reminding us of the dangers and the troubles we went through under John Mahama as president, but not in any way saying that people should vote for him.
Right.
That's a bad choice, and we will not make that recommendation.
Okay. Fifi, so talk to me. What's next on Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh's itinerary in terms of campaign towards December 7? We have some few days to go.
Well, Dr. Prempeh will continue engaging different stakeholders at different places. We have very short time to go to the elections. There are some constituencies he will be campaigning in those constituencies, but largely he will be meeting various important stakeholders at different constituencies and different places as a way of preparing for the election. Of course, there are also some boardroom engagement he is also involved in preparing for the election day. But largely, he will be out there engaging people in different constituencies as he prepares for the final day of the election.
Very well. Fifi, thank you so much for speaking to us this evening.
My pleasure.
Fantastic. That's Fifi Boafo. He is the spokesperson for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. He says Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is human. So please.
And to err is what?
To err is human.
Yeah.
So he didn't mean to endorse John Mahama for no reason.
I mean, we
He
are not in
meant
the, we are
Dr.
not in the
Matthew
minds
Opoku
of
Prempeh.
Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, but I genuinely think it was a slip of tongue. Because why would he want to sabotage the entire Look, they've not been sleeping. They've been across the length and breadth of the country trying to preach about their message of bold solutions to the people. So I don't see the reason he would want to, at the very last minute, want to endorse Mahama.
But you'd also understand the point of the NDC. I mean, it's politics. We have less than 15 days to the elections. Everybody will capitalize on anything. So Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh meant Dr. Mamudu Bawumia, not John Dramani Mahama. This is Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, we do have more for you. Kindly stay with us.
From the classroom to the lab, from the village to the city, the NPP's commitment to education is building a brighter Ghana. Free SHS isn't just about free tuition, it's an investment in Ghana's future. We have topped it up with free TVET and STEM education, skilled graduates, innovative thinkers, and a thriving economy. That's the promise of free SHS.
3 of my cousins have benefited from free SHS since 2017. One has graduated and is in nursing training. The other 2 are also in the university. I'll vote number 1. I'll vote for Bawumia on December 7th.
We are building a better tomorrow through education. Vote NPP. Vote number 1. Vote Bawumia. Bawumia means business. Esro.
Presidential and parliamentary elections 2024.
The Electoral Commission of Ghana is constitutionally mandated to conduct presidential and parliamentary elections on Saturday, 7 December 2024. Voting will start at 7 a.m. prompt and end at 5 p.m. Please report at the polling station as early as you can to cast your vote. Bring along your voter ID card so you can easily be identified. Even if you don't have your voter ID card, still go to the polling station. A name reference list officer will check your particulars in the names reference list. A verification officer will verify your identity as a registered voter with a verification device. You will be issued a presidential ballot paper. Please check to see that there are no marks on it. Also, ensure it has a validation stamp at the back. Make your way to the voting booth. Thumbprint correctly your choice of presidential candidate and cast your vote. Proceed to the next polling assistant for a parliamentary ballot paper. Make your way to the voting booth. Thumbprint correctly your choice of MP and cast your ballot. Please leave the polling station after casting your ballot. You may return at the close of polls for counting of ballots. Have a say in issues that affect you. Exercise your right to vote.
Your vote is your future.
I'm the first vice president to collect a bribe of $200,000 before meeting investors. Who am I?
My administrator wrote a letter to steal 10,000 bags of rice from a businessman for my Ramadan donation. Who am I? Alhaji Bawumia, the rice master. So I orchestrated the PDS scam and also made sure that family and friends of the NPP stole 2 billion cedis of money we paid as light bill. Ghana also lost over $190 million from the Americans through the same PDS scandal. Who am I?
Alhaji Bawumia. Amefa, answer this question for 10 points. When I was in opposition, I spoke against sole sourcing. Since I became vice president, I have given multiple inflated contracts to my brother and his wife through corrupt sole source deals. Who am I?
Alhaji Baumia. This is a bonus riddle. I am Alhaji, but my favorite delicacy is whiskey with pork. Who am I? Alhaji Baumia.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
The pandemic has had a generally deleterious effect on the economy of African nations. This has devastated many African economies and sunk them deeper into unsustainable debt and economic downturn.
Remember these words from former President Mahama. Now, as campaign season heats up, he is pointing fingers at the current administration. Is this not for political gain? Ghanaians deserve genuine solutions, not mere propaganda. We've faced global challenges together. Let's seek a leader who offers plans and progress, not just critiques. Let's build Ghana up, not tear it down. Vote number 1. Vote for Baumia. Vote for the MPP.
Starr today. First, fast, and credible.
Hey, welcome back from the break. This is still Starr today here on Starr FM. I am Tutuwaa Danso, and I have with me the superstar. Mention your name.
Joshua Kodjo Mensah.
Thank you.
Tutuwaa, let's do politics.
Okay. Now, a political marketing strategist, Professor Kobi Mensah, has slammed successive governments over the penchant to inaugurate last-minute projects, while this comes after President Akufo-Addo and his administration got busy this week. Well, from inaugurating flyovers to unveiling the central bank's over $200 million headquarters, alongside the launch of over 80 educational infrastructure projects, the government's infrastructure agenda was clearly in full swing. However, this trend isn't unique to the Akufo-Addo administration. Previous governments have used similar tactics. Remember 2016, John Mahama, when he earned the title Commissioner General. But the real question is, why now? Why do governments tend to accelerate their efforts to showcase accomplishments just before elections? My colleague, Elik Limeuku, has the details.
2016, just 5 months before the elections, former President John Dramani Mahama earned a new nickname for his tendency to rush the inauguration of various projects, some of which were even incomplete. Already known as Mr. Danso, due to the country's power outages during his tenure, Mr. Mahama seemed to embrace this new moniker. He even joked that he welcomed the name because he had been on a roll. This new title, Commissioner General. It wasn't surprising, really. Just days before the end of his presidency, Mr. Mahama inaugurated the University of Ghana Medical Center. The facility, however, didn't become operational until July 2018.
The University of Ghana Medical Center project reflects another major milestone by our country in our quest for quality health service delivery and making it available to our people.
Shall I paint you a picture? In the lead-up to the 2016 elections, Mr. Mahama was particularly busy commissioning projects. In May 2016, he opened the Cape Coast Sports Stadium. In July, he inaugurated a water project in Parigu, Narelugu, aimed at supplying potable water to the community. Then, in October 2016, he launched a water project in Bando in the Volta region to improve access to clean water in the area.
It can provide Bando and all the communities that I mentioned, Sovie, Amfuega, Nkonya, and Nkru, and surrounding communities, and also to benefit from the project I have Veme, Gbefi, Jigbe, and Pasek villages.
Later the same month, Mr. Mahama unveiled the Trust Sports Emporium in Bukum, and the Sekendi Takoradi Kodjo railway line was also commissioned in November 2016. On 2nd December 2016, just 5 days before the elections, Mr. Mahama traveled to Kumawu to commission the incomplete Kumawu water project. It was a flurry of activity in the final months of his presidency, with a number of these projects still unfinished or not yet operational. But the commissioning continued nonetheless. Finally, on December 4th, 2016, President John Dramani Mahama officially inaugurated the unfinished aerodrome project in Ho, the capital of the Volta region. This move was met with disapproval from the New Patriotic Party and its presidential candidate at the time, Nana Akufo-Addo, who promised not to repeat such actions if elected. Fast forward to his election and subsequently to his re-election campaign in 2020, where President Akufo-Addo found himself using a similar strategy. Now, in 2024, President Akufo-Addo and the NPP government are in full swing, rapidly commissioning and inaugurating infrastructure projects. From the rushed sword curtain ceremony at the Flower Pot Interchange to the grand opening of the Central Bank's $250 million ultramodern building, a project that was initially budgeted at $81.8 million, the government's infrastructure agenda is in overdrive.
Not only celebrating the physical structure of this imposing complex, but also acknowledging the progress of our economy.
Put this in perspective, let's rewind to the 2020 election cycle. In August 2020, President Akufo-Addo launched the Ekumfi Fruits and Juices Factory, part of his administration's One District, One Factory initiative. The following month, he commissioned 5 new piped water supply systems under the Water Supply Improvement Project. In October, he opened the 5.1 million Ghana cedis Hamile Hapa small town piped water supply system and a 6.5 megawatt solar power plant in Laura. Even as the election loomed in December, just 6 days before voters went to the polls, President Akufo-Addo inaugurated the Bodukwan Multi-Fruit Processing Factory, another initiative under his 1D1F initiative. Notice the pattern. With just 2 weeks left to his term, President Akufo-Addo is not seeking a third. However, he has expressed his intention to hand over power to his vice president, who is the NPP's chosen presidential candidate. This week alone, the president didn't just visit Flowerport Flyover. He also took time to commission a $1.2 billion bridge power project in Tema. And that's not all. His administration also unveiled over 80 educational infrastructure projects across all 16 regions. It seems the rush to inaugurate and commission projects is far from over. So what did we learn from this? A few things, actually. That governments will continue to use infrastructure projects as tools for political gain, particularly in the lead-up to elections. That the recurring pattern of commissioning projects close to election time suggests that infrastructure development can be used strategically to sway voters, especially in the final stretch of a president's term. And finally, what is the level of accountability and transparency in the handling of public projects?
Eli Klim Awuku with that report there. Meanwhile, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is also the flag bearer of the NPP, early today commissioned the first watermelon factory in Wale Wale in the northeast region. Now, the commissioning comes at a time some residents in the area questioned the feasibility of the project in the area due to the delay in its operationalization. Now, the watermelon factory, which is part of the One District, One Factory initiative, is expected to create 800 direct jobs and 8,000 indirect jobs. It is the first of its kind in the country and it's funded by the Ghana Exim Bank. Now, speaking at the commissioning, Dr. Bawumia said the facility is a testament to the government's commitment to transforming the nation.
What is very, very clear is that we in the MPP, we believe in possibilities, in making things happen. Our opponents, on the other hand, don't believe in possibilities. They believe in impossibilities. That is the mindset. And when you follow all the things that we have tried to do and how we have been discouraged from doing them, you'll understand me. When we said we were bringing free SHS, they told us it was 419. They said it was not possible, but we made it possible. When we said one district, one factory, they doubted us again. They challenged us. But today, under one district, one factory, we have completed over 150 factories in Ghana. And one of the factories that we have completed, it is over 150, is the Wale Wale watermelon processing factory. I remember when we started this process, there were a lot of doubts about whether we would be able to deliver this factory. In fact, only a few weeks ago, one of the members of the opposition party in this constituency said we had put an empty container and it was not a factory. Today, I would like him to come and inspect the factory himself.
That's Dr. Mahmoud Baumia in the Northeast region, Wale Wale to be precise, commissioning a watermelon factory. We'll be getting to the phone line shortly to speak to Paul Abrampa of CDD Ghana. Mr. Abrampa, thank you so much for joining us. Really, the commissioning of projects close to elections is not new to us, but does it really have any impact whatsoever?
Good evening, Yeshua, and let me say a very good evening to our listeners. Yes and no. Yes, because when you follow this very campaign, for example, the campaigns have been based on issues, and therefore one will expect that the citizens will follow the issues and who is making what to inform their decisions. When you read the Afrobarometer recent data and the various research data on matters of concern for the Ghanaian citizens by the National Commission for Civic Education, the 10 issues that are mentioned are issues that have to do with human development and public services. So one would think that if these are the perceptions and the responses in the data by the Ghanaian public, then it should follow that citizens will look at some of these, the provision of some of these things or fulfillment of some of these things to inform their choices in elections. It's no, because in Ghana elections, what you have done or you have not done usually is assessed by a few people who are not part of the electoral constituencies of the especially two leading political parties. So it's only the elite who actually assess performance to inform their choices. If you assess the electoral outcomes over the years, you realize that the MPP and the NDC have got specific constituencies of voters. So, for example, if the NDC loses, it doesn't go below 40%. If the MPP also loses, it doesn't go below 40%. These people don't assess whatever is happening. They don't care the commission of the project. They don't think about your performance. They are other supporters of specific political parties, and that's where their votes will go. So it's very few constituents of the elite who actually assess some of these things to inform their choices.
It's quite interesting you mentioned that, because, I mean, if that's the case, then why do politicians wait till the last minute, the dying minutes of the administration to be commissioning these projects? In some cases, we are seeing road projects started now in some areas, and clearly it looks like it seems to repeat itself every political cycle.
Yes, that's an interesting question, and that's the focus of my analysis. These 40 constituencies don't win elections in Ghana. Ghana elections are won with 50% and over one vote. So if you really want to win the election, then you need to tilt the interests of these undecided people, these elite, into your side. And that's why it's important that you do things that do not follow your constituents, but that seem to attract the undecided voters, which are usually the elite of the community. The undecided people who actually look at the performance, the actual dignity of the contestants to inform their choices. So it's important for those categories of people, the 20% that the NDC or the MPP need to make up the 50% plus one.
Interesting. Well, Mr. Brampa, thank you. Thank you so much for the analysis. Interesting conversation there.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Right. So that's Paul Abrampa. He's with CDD Ghana, sharing some perspectives on the matter. So even in as much as he is telling us that, well, these particular developments in these constituencies does not really win elections for politicians. Dr. Bawumia says, come and see, oh, come and see. In the Wale Wale constituency, the watermelon factory is there. But Finance Minister has also been speaking. Tutuwaa.
He says that the government, after working to improve the macroeconomic indicators, is now focused on growing the economy.
Macroeconomic stability is fast returning to our country. We all can see the indicators improving by the day. And now we want to focus on growth, economic growth, which has also already demonstrated that the economy has recovered strongly. Last year, we were supposed to grow at 1.5%. We grew at 2.9%. Half this year, we're supposed to grow at 3.1%. We grew at 5.8%. The first half-year growth of 5.8%, GDP growth we recorded in 19 by 0.4 percentage points, which means that this economy is back to the growth trajectory of the period before COVID. This is the job the president and the vice president have done to bring our economy back to life.
Well, still on the issue of whether or not these last-minute projects, I'm sure you've seen some in your neighborhood. Where, Tutuwaa, have you seen some in Danso?
I haven't seen anything.
Oh,
my assemblyman.
Come to Teshin.
My
come to Bush Road.
Fixed our street lights all of a sudden.
Oh, wow.
I'm so shocked.
Oh, he's working. The assembly is working.
He will see.
Yeah, but
I'm not the one saying it.
Tutuwaa,
the constituents are the ones telling
because,
me.
I mean, when you come to Lejokuku, you know, the interesting part about Lejokuku is that there is a power play there. So the incumbent MP, who is on the ticket of the NDC,
right?
He says that
that's Okoboy's competitor.
Yes, Ben Aiku says he is fixing the roads in the constituency. Interestingly, Dr. Okoboy also says that he's the one responsible for the road. So you realize that
how is he fixing the roads in opposition?
He says he's the one lobbying for these to come to work.
When he's out of parliament.
He's a minister. Now, the interesting bit is that
I see.
You realize that at the junction, you have two billboards on either side of the road, all saying thank you for the road.
Jesus Christ.
So there is one that says thank you, Honorable Ben Aiku, for the road. Teshin is grateful.
Thank you.
Then right opposite that there's thank you, Dr. Bernardo Koboy. Teshin is grateful.
Of the road.
That's the interesting bit. And when you come to Bush Road, you realize that now there are people, there are contractors on the road, and I don't know what kind of road they are constructing because it makes the road even more dusty than it used to be. So you see the bitumen just splashed on the road.
Right.
Then we have some few marbles here and there, and the road is constructed.
On the Dansoman High Street, I think the situation is a bit better because they're actually like fixing all the potholes in my neighborhood. They're literally like fixing
potholes. You think that's what they were giving money to do?
Well,
but will this influence voters? I mean, we listened to Paul Abrampa. He had his share on that. Now, Professor Kobi Mensah, who is a political marketing strategist, he also has a say on this matter. Let's listen to him.
I think that the basic point is that the political parties do not know the concept of marketing. They don't know the concept of value proposition. Now, usually as a company, you do not market what we call features, but you market benefits, you market values that people gain from your product. Now, over the period, we've seen political parties do that on a simple basis. They think that the proverbial Ghanaian short memory things are played. So they always want to push their delivery at the end of the term so that they can use that to bargain for votes. They believe people would forget that they've done ABCD during the term, and as a result may not count in terms of the voters' consideration. And so they would rather want to push it to the end so that they can showcase delivery. Obviously, a misconception to how the voters think. Voters want to see that they've gained value from whatever, infrastructure, from whatever development that you have actually put in place. Now, if you do that at the tail end of your term, you don't get to experience the value, and so it doesn't mean anything to the voter. In fact, it is on record that by the term you are going into the elections, people have made up their mind already. If you had delivered earlier, they would have benefited from the project, they would have seen the value, they would have appreciated it, and would have worked or calculated to their decision making. But unfortunately, our political parties still keep to the old ways of doing things that make them lose elections, and they won't change.
You know, just in your submission, the last part of it, I was coming to ask you whether this, to some extent, influenced voter decision in any way, but you've clarified that. And you're also attributing this late showcasing of accomplishment to bad strategies. Is that what it is?
Absolutely. I mean, they always think that voters have short memory, and as a result, they want to push it to the end of their term, hoping that voters would imagine in it, they would immediately.
So that's Professor Kobe Mensah, political marketing strategist, speaking to Awisi Dede Jange on GH1 television earlier today.
Right. Are we doing a break now?
Yes, it's time to go for a quick break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
The NDC and the MPP are not the same. They are the same. Masa, they are not the same. They are the same.
Milante, tell us why you think they are not the same. Because me, dear, I don't see any difference between the two parties.
Yaba, one, under John Mahama, every penny borrowed was used for productive investment like the Terminal 3, Accra Digital Center, KJTR Market, Circle Dubai Interchange, just to mention a few. But these Osmo people borrow money, draw Kenke and Wache parties, use the money to bath in the sky, and construct the most expensive swimming pool in the world in the name of a national category. Tell me, is God a swimmer? Two, under John Dramani Mahama, those who lend money to the government in the form of bonds could sleep peacefully knowing that the government will pay them. Under the MPP, the government will take your money, chop it, and give you a haircut on top. Under John Dramani Mahama, no minister or MP could dare go close to our water bodies or forests to do galamsey. Today, look at our water bodies and forests. These MPP people have destroyed all our water bodies and forests through galamsey. I will not be surprised if we find a galamsey pit in the Jubilee House. How can you tell me that the NDC and the MPP are the same?
Bosu, you talk something, pal.
They are not the same.
They are never the same.
We have to vote wisely.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
From the classroom to the lab, from the village to the city, the NPP's commitment to education is building a brighter Ghana. Free SHS isn't just about free tuition, it's an investment in Ghana's future. We have topped it up with free TVET and STEM education, skilled graduates, innovative thinkers, and a thriving economy. That's the promise of free SHS.
3 of my cousins have benefited from free SHS since 2017. One has graduated and is in nursing training. The other 2 are also in the university. I'll vote number 1. I'll vote for Baumia on December 7th.
We are building a better tomorrow through education. Vote NPP. Vote number 1. Vote Baumia. Baumia means business. Estro.
Starr today. First, fast, and credible.
You're welcome back from this break. This is still Starr today here on Starr FM. Let's still stay on politics. And the Inspector General of the Ghana Police Service, Dr. Kodjo Dampare, has urged political parties to cooperate with the police to ensure incident-free elections this year, while he assured that the police are ready to ensure law and order before, during and after the polls, but they will require the support of all stakeholders, including the parties. Now, speaking in a meeting with representatives of all the political parties in Accra on Thursday, November 21, Dr. Dampare told them that as they prepare to celebrate their possible victory, they should also have a plan on how to endure their possible defeats.
I also want to make one point clear, and that's our commitment towards ensuring that there is peace, security, law, and order in this country. We've said it with the mantra. Where we need to engage, we will engage. Where we need to de-escalate, we will de-escalate. But where we need to be merciless when it comes to the application of law within the context of rule of law under our democratic dispensation, we can tell you that for the sake of the sanctity of the state called Ghana, which our forebearers left it in peace for us to live it in peace for our generation following us, probably and possibly and obviously our children, we'll stop at nothing. And I repeat, we'll stop at nothing.
Representatives from various political parties, especially the main political parties, the NDC and the MPP, all expressed satisfaction with the meeting.
I would say that it was a good move. And we have also expressed our commitment to peaceful elections. We are going to make sure that we conduct ourselves within the confines of the law.
Very fruitful meeting, which points to the fact that we all yearn for peaceful, transparent, free and fair elections. And I must commend the IGP and the Election Security Task Force for the measures that they are putting in place. They delivered very well in Asen North, and we have no doubt in our minds that if they are to replicate what happened in Asen North and even enhance how they went about Asen North, the elections, at least at the level of the security, will be something that generations will read about and admire.
Director of Public Affairs for the Ghana Police Service, ACP Ansar Kofi, also addressed the media after the meeting.
We urge all Ghanaians to be reassured that security will be intensified, and any person that intends to disrupt the peace of this country, we will deal with them according to law. Ghanaians should come on board, support us. Together, let's ensure the peace of our beloved country.
The clarion call at the end of this meeting, organized by the Election Security Task Force, is for the political parties to avoid any kind of political rhetoric that will breed violence, with the task force assuring the political parties that it will remain as neutral as possible to ensure law and order during the 2024 general elections. From the headquarters of the police, my name is Obed Kingaglo for GH1 News.
Well, commenting on this development, security analyst Dr. Adam Bonahi has lauded the engagement, saying it indeed was timely.
At the moment, what the police should be doing, largely they are doing it, engaging and engaging and engaging. Three things: engage, engage, engage. Once they are able to engage, and engage, chances are that the rough edges will be trimmed off, so that on D-Day, at the moment, I am aware, per my sources and intel, that the police has already worked out how to deal with flashpoints. And the flashpoints are increasingly areas where either one would have won by less votes, let's say about 100 or to 1,000, or would have lost by 100 to 1,000, and history of violence and all those things. They've slotted all of them in and sending enough resources there. A place like Kaswa is an area that I'm expecting the police to send their SWAT team on standby, because chances are that someone might want to take the law into his or her own hands to foment trouble, so they can deal with it and neutralize them as soon as possible. Place like Kodjo, Nilante's backyard, of Kechiman, of Ejura. There are some locations that we would come to mind as areas that usually the trouble spots, and I am aware that they are putting in measures to deal with it.
Let's still stay on politics, but this time around in the Ashanti region, because the original chairman of the party in that region, Bernardine Chibuisiako, popularly known as Chairman Wuntumi, has questioned the loyalty of Kodjo Tremanting, the leader and founder of the Movements for Change Alliance, to the NPP, and the former president, John Agyekum Kufuor. Well, according to him, Mr. Tremanting, who recently resigned from the party, has never genuinely supported the NPP. Addressing a press conference in Kumasi, Chairman Wuntumi alleged that Tremanting worked as an agent for the NDC in the region.
Or no NPP da. Na said the Judas or ye yesu mine. And no be an alancha matia NPP and that's where you go for a ye jay who I know whom walancha matin. So we are president, what now who to me some appointments. And no ma ambassador. Mahama ambassador we or do obey minister of trade. Akufo-Addo Baye was the minister of trade in the Sadema. Akufo-Addo Baye told me was the minister of trade in the man. Oh, Alancha Martin. Wa would ya paka bukra wo se kase wo. Na ye ne enam fom. Ye na board so that. 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 Ye na board so The end the appointment in that. Oh, Allah, and Timusu Mahama Timi, Akasachro, and my ultimate Duke of Water. This is a shame. It's a big shame. Shame on you. Now, I refer. So, be bit me a boy will be. Obi bit me a papa besum Ghana. Ya 10 little maternity. She said, what's your party? No, my mama was casting on fancy. Say, I vote to know, Casoba for mana. Asante Akasa. O can mattress and pa, it's a do more train, teaching, do more train. A do call and you no. Or say, baby, a baby, and our Sabishia. No way at 10. Now, so Mushia, the Omopacano, don't bet you in Assassin. Your children also. Let be a best son, your son also.
Well, so that's Chairman Wontumi, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP. But let's get some reactions from the camp of Alan Kodjo Chamating on this one. We've been joined by senior aide of Alan and the Movement for Change, Solomon Owusu. He's a leading member there. Solomon Owusu, thank you so much for joining us. So the last time you were in our studios, we had conversations on this, and you expressed basically Alan's position on the matter. But it looks like that did not settle issues. Now, the party in the Ashanti region, led by the party chairman, Chairman Wontumi, he says, well, Alan was never loyal to the NPP. How do you respond to this?
Joshua, good evening to you and to your cherished listeners across the length and breadth of the board. Chairman Wontumi himself was brought into the NPP fray by Mr. Alan Chamati, so he has no clue as to the foundation of the new patriotic party. And so when such people speak, you take it with a pinch of salt. And so that is what I would say. Alan Chamante was part of the founding members of this party. It just happened that the ideals and principles upon which this party was founded has been lost as a result of taking over the party. For which reason there comes a time principled men and women have to desert a party and go their way, and that is why some of us are with the movement. So you take Chairman Wontumi serious at your own risk or at your own peril. I have known Chairman Wontumi for several years. We're all in Prempeh College, and he has never been serious, and I don't see why I have to waste precious time to discuss such an unserious character.
But I mean, he was not the only one there. We saw some big wigs of the party support him at this particular one. Basically, the party believes that Alan shouldn't have responded in the way and manner in which he responded to John Ajekum Kufuor.
So they now want to tell us or show us how we respond to issues? Is that what Wontumi is telling us? Is that what the so-called people that joined Wontumi at the press conference wants the world to believe? Look, like I said the last time I was at the studios, Alan, the rebuttal from Alan was only to question the judgment that was made by Mr. Kufuor. And as we speak, we are still waiting for Mr. Kufuor to come out with the criteria based upon which he came to that conclusion. Even if it takes 100 years, we will still demand that he comes out to explain to the world the foundation for his judgment. That one we will never run away from it. And they know that there is absolutely no way Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will and can ever be competent than Alan Chamati. And so if I'm part of a contest, we are 12 in number, vying to be president of this land. And we have a statesman, a former president, comes to make a determination. Which determination, if we do not question it, can sway minds and votes, and we do just that, who in his rightful sense will tell us that what we did wasn't right? So that's what I'm saying, that we have taken over Ashanti region. We know their pains, and we know they don't have any antidote to what we have done in the region. And so after President Kufuor coming in and we coming in strongly to question his judgment, all that is left is for the likes of Wontumi to come and do gymnastics, and that is not true. There is nothing serious about it.
So the claim that you attacked the persona of the former president is nothing to write home about. I mean, it's not valid because from what you're telling me, it was his judgment and not necessarily his person.
But I mean, Joshua, you have listened to the tape. Is that not the case? Why in the tape did Alan attack the persona of Mr. Kufuor? He right away attacked his judgment. Now you are saying, you have known me for several years. You have worked with me both as a minister and as an ambassador to the United States of America. So you know you have a better appreciation of me. You have not worked really with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And more than 70% of your policies under your regime were all introduced by Alan Chemati. So on what basis today, having not worked directly with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, are you saying he's better than all of us? If you are a candidate vying to be a president of this land, and a former president makes such a call or judgment, and you really want to lead this country, and you do not question the basis for that judgment, then you are not serious in this election. Alan means business. So we are putting Mr. Kufuor on notice and also exposing the untruth that he peddled, all under the auspices of politics. And that's what we sought to do. We never attacked this person after all. Last Sunday's endorsement was the third time former President Kufuor was endorsing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The first time was at the UPS. Did you ever hear Alan Chemati question that integrity? Because on that occasion, we thought he was speaking at a party program, NBP program. So whatever he said was construed as being a mere political rhetoric. The second time was with an interview with Asempa FM's Obi. He did the same thing. We felt out there was no need. Now we are getting closer to election. Now we have done a lot of work in the Ashanti and Akan areas. Mind you, in the interview that is under is the subject matter of discussion, President Kufuor had made it known to the entire country that he was going to address the nation, decided to speak the Twi language. You know the reason behind that? Because he was directly appealing to the emotions and the conscience of the Akans, whom he knows most of them are going to vote for Mr. Alan Chemati, to say that, hey, the best amongst those vying to be president is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. When you have such a message and you know your words, the best you could do is not to attack his persona, but to question that decision and ask him to give you the reason. It is the reason that we are still waiting for Mr. Kufuor to bring, and then he is unable to do so, and therefore having the likes of Wontumi to come in with all sort of explanations. And at one point, he was even saying that our campaign activities in the Ashanti region have been financed by John Mahama. When did John Mahama come into politics to finance Alan Chemati? So it's all much ado about nothing. It's about the uncomfortability of the MPP in seeing to them losing grounds in the Ashanti region and knowing that Alan is the one who is going to win the region that is causing all these problems. Other than that, there is nothing on top of that Alan has done.
Right. Okay, so let's shift focus slightly from that and let's talk about polls, because I remember when you were in our studios, you were really angry when we talked about Musa Dankwa's his polls, and then where he put Alan in terms of the likelihood. As it stands now, you even challenged him, and I remember you saying that he should give you the data. You will call the same people, and you get different results, and all of that. But now, Professor Smart Sapon has also come out with some polls, and it indicates that even Nana Kwame Bediako will do better than Alan Kodjo Chemating in the elections. Alan will just garner 1.2% of total votes cast. Your reaction to that?
Have I not been vindicated? I know Smart Sapon. He's a die-in-the-wool NPP supporter. That's the first point. Number two, which period did you say he collected the data? Is it not April or so? We are talking about November. Election, getting closer to elections. We understand he claims he interviewed about 59,000 people. Smart Sapon has no such capacity. In any case, the moment you see any polls putting Cheddar ahead of Alan, you throw it into the dustbin.
Why is that?
I'm coming there because, you see, Cheddar recently, when he filed with the Electoral Commission, even garnering signatures of 2 representatives across the various constituencies. He was struggling. He was struggling to get 2 people from each constituency to endorse him. And that is why his form became back and forth. When Alan had done all these things long ago, I told you the last time that before Alan got onto the ground to do his market tours, the meet and greet, and the caravan, all these polls had put him at 9%. Now he's doing campaign on the ground, and they say it's around 1.2%. Who takes that people serious? The whole thing is to deny resources to Alan. Let me tell you, that is it. So that political entrepreneurs that invest in candidates, the moment that they pick such reports, or they will say Alan is not faring well, so why would they invest in him? When they know that he's the one that is winning this election. Number 2, it's a way that incumbent governments use to rig an election. If anybody wants to rig an election, they first of all use some of these people to conduct hogwash polls, and then they work towards it. So that when they will rig to those figures that they will turn out, and then when you make noise, then they point you to that. Didn't Professor Sapon say they were going to get it? They did not get it. They did it in 2020. Mind you, you will see a lot of MPP supporters pointing to the 2020 polls or survey that was conducted by Professor Sapon, that he predicted MPP was going to get 51.4. The MPP has 51.2, and so his polls are credible. That was the way of rigging. And so they have opened our eyes, and we are going to be more than vigilant. My brother Joshua, I can say without any shred of equivocation that Mr. Lanchamatin is pushing this election into a runoff, and he will win during the runoff. There is no doubt about that.
But that's what Sapon is saying, that the elections will actually go into a runoff because nobody will be able to get above 50% in the election. Now, you say that the second point you touched on, I mean, the first point was that, yes, it's a way to deny Alan of resources, people who would like to invest in his campaign. But you also talked on the fact that it is also a way to conscientize people for political parties to rig the elections. And that's why I want you to elaborate more.
Yeah, so the New Patriotic Party has told you, and the rest of the world, that they have 1 million ways of winning an election. One of the ways is to prepare the minds of people through surveys that for our candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is leading. He's leading by his margin. Now, when they bring that and you accept it, what do? They then begin to work with the Electoral Commission and other party agents to cook figures. And so they will get the exact figures that has been put out by the likes of Smart Chapo. And then when it becomes a reality and you challenge it, then they will point to the fact that but there was already a survey that indicated that this man was winning by this margin. So why would you complain? And that it is very common with incumbent governments across the continent. And that is why I'm opening your eyes on it, that there is nothing authentic about this report. I read it. He claims he interviewed 59,000 people within a space of 30 days. If you divide 59,000 by 30 days, you are getting 1,966 respondents every day. His department, I have got check. I have friends who are professors there. His department is only made up of 6 staff over there. He cannot convince me that the 6 staff were able to interview almost 2,000 respondents every day. So I challenge him again that if he claims he did a thorough job, he should present the raw data. Show us wherever he went to interview the people so that all of us will follow through. It is never true. It is much ado about nothing. It is consistent with what they are doing. Trying to let people understand that China is even doing well above Alan Chebatu, so that all those that want to vote for Alan will say, well, our man is not doing well, so why must we go and waste our vote? And that is what the people in the Ashanti region, the people in the Eastern region, and all the Akan-dominated areas have seen through it.
Okay.
And they say they are not going to buy it.
But Solomon, I mean, really, if Alan is doing as well as you say he's doing, how come none of the polls is really giving him a dog's chance?
But wait for it. I didn't do any polls in this country. These are procured. Ask for support who gave him money. for this polls.
So what? The MPP contractors must happen to conduct these polls?
He just sat behind it. That's for took money from the NPP to come up with this hogwash polls.
Are these not wild allegations? Do you have any proof to this?
I am telling you that he never did any polls. This country is very small. Look, when we were doing our internal candidates, when we were with the MPP, this must happen through a friend. Wanted to come and take a laptop from Alan Camp. All of a sudden, he told us that his laptop was missing. If you got a laptop, you were going to do a poll to favor it. And said, no, we are not interested in getting fake polls. So, disregard it. In any case, Joshua,
talk to me.
We are barely 2 weeks into an election. The only authentic and scientific polls is the election day. How and what people do by voting. Why would you wait for the day to come? How would you bore us with, I went to interview this man, he said you vote for me. What if the person went to the polls and never did so? What can he do? And I have told you time with that number that the happiness in the USA must tell everyone that polls will not win elections. And that the way and manner the American politicians contracted academicians to be doing fake polling was what was giving people hope that Kamala Harris was doing anything better. Until the election day, that Trump established that there was nothing truthful about the polls. So I don't take it serious. It is just they are not doing anything. They sit behind their PCs and write whatever pleases them to please their paymasters and then to sway minds. Unfortunately for them, the economy is exposing the polls.
Okay.
Now the kind of economy we are running today does not have any semblance of the kind of polls that they are turning out. When the MPP was even due in 2008, they got 49% during the first round. Was that not the case? Today, that the government itself, as we speak, students are unable to go to school. We are observing or experiencing doom. So parents are unable to feed their children, and so on and so forth. And you are telling me that from there is leading by 49%. Who would believe it? Who will believe this polls?
Very well. So
it is never true.
Okay. So as it stands now, it's still number 13. I see all.
Joshua. And let me tell you, when Alan comes, Joshua and Tutuwaa, you are going to have commercial farms and you are going to be proud farmers. And that is what Alan is promising.
We
So
like
nothing
agriculture
will change.
too. Thank you very much. That was our Solomon Owusu. He's a aide to the president. Sorry, I missed that.
Even if you don't want to be a commercial farmer, I'll force you to be one.
Problem. Thank you very much, Solomon. Solomon is at Alan Chamantain's camp. But away from that, a political science lecturer, Dr. Asar Asante, has downplayed the ethnicity and religion in the outcome of the upcoming December polls. While Dr. Asar Asante says that key issues like the economy, job, amongst others, remain headline issues, with rather recent conversations around Galamsey won't equally play a role in the outcome of the election. He spoke to Lily Mohammed earlier on the Morning Star.
In terms of voter choices, there are a number of them. But for Ghana, the important consideration for the ordinary voter and for every human being in this country is the economy. So anytime you are engaging in electioneering campaign, you want to know the health of the economy so as to develop messages and then churn them out to the electorate. So the economy. Don't make a mistake by saying that, yes, I'm looking at a population where not everybody is literate and that you can churn anything out. No, the political economy of the country. The ordinary man is aware of that. They know what to look for when you are looking at a healthy economy. You are looking at inflation because it's a function of prices on the markets. They are aware of that. 2016, what was the price of this size of kinky? And the same size of kinky maintained today was the price. They check what? Fuel prices. Be able to know. They know what exists on the market. If you go to market, are you able to afford X amount of goods and services and all that? They are aware. Those who are in businesses that deal with what? Exchange rate and all that. They are aware of exchange rates, the period before and today. They are able to address that. So the economy is number one. The second consideration, which is what? Infrastructure development. You will see that if the economy is healthy, you can see a function of that resonating with the people there. You will see government will be able to have resources to undertake infrastructure development in all sectors of the country. If the situation is the otherwise, I'm afraid government will not be able to do much. And remember, if you look at the Constitution, it said every section of this country needs its fair share of infrastructure development. So people are looking up to that. Remember that after this, we are looking at what? Corruption. It's simply because of the devastating effect of what? Corruption and its preponderance, the preponderance nature of corruption in our system and its devastating effect. Voters want to know what are your ideas relative to the fight against corruption.
Well, you just heard Dr. Asa Sante, the political scientist, but we have a lot more stories for you after this break. Don't go away.
The pandemic has had a generally deleterious effect on the economy of African nations. This has devastated many African economies and sunk them deeper into unsustainable debt and economic downturn.
Remember these words from former President Mahama. Now, as campaign season heats up, he is pointing fingers at the current administration. Is this not for political gain? Ghanaians deserve genuine solutions, not mere propaganda. We've faced global challenges together. Let's seek a leader who offers plans and progress, not just critiques. Let's build Ghana up, not tear it down. Vote number 1. Vote for Bawumia. Vote for the NPP.
Well, you're still listening to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. Now, the United States of America says it will provide no support to the International Criminal Court after it issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, as well as the military commander of Hamas, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority. And this is the first time the ICC is targeting a key ally of the United States. Member of the states, ICC, including the United Kingdom and several European nations, are now legally required to arrest and detain Netanyahu if he enters their territory. But we have a phone call on the line.
We want to find out how this sits with a friend of Palestine. Former Kumbungu Member of Parliament, Ras Mubarak, has joined us for a conversation on the back of this. Thank you very much, Ras, for joining us. I mean, justice at last. This must be good news for you and the people of Palestine, isn't it?
Well, certainly not justice. One can not call it justice when this war criminal is still running riots and still killing babies and women in Gaza. But certainly this brings a new impetus and a new amount of pressure on the criminal regime of the Israelis. Now, as you would be aware, more than 100,000 Palestinians, most of whom are women and children, murdered gruesomely. We've all followed this live on our, phones and on our televisions, and it cannot be acceptable that in the 21st century, that the world would allow such egregious, crimes to occur. But of course, we can't be entirely surprised. The people who support the war criminal Netanyahu, as he has been designated by the ICC, are Europeans and Americans. And what is the history of these racist Europeans and Americans? These are people who justify slavery. These are people who justify neocolonialism. So really and truly, Europeans and Americans have never really, changed their true colors. They may have changed their methodology. And the myth about European values completely out of the window. What is happening in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Palestine, is truly tragic. And I think the time has come, especially for us in Africa, who have gone through slavery, who have gone through neocolonization, who have gone through colonization, to say, wait a minute, we can't do business, with a country that commits genocide, and sever all relationships with the Israeli administration. I mean, by now, I expect that Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana really and truly, would ask the Israeli ambassador to leave our country. But what is gratifying is also the fact that countries such as Canada have indicated that if Netanyahu, came onto Canadian soil, he would be arrested. Over 120 countries around the world are signatories to the ICC Charter, which means that if he were to, land in Ghana, Ghana has an obligation as a signatory to the Charter to have him arrested and have him brought to justice. And this should also be a wake-up call, because we have a situation where in the past, some African leaders, notably Charles Taylor, have been prosecuted, by the ICC and actually jailed, and you have Netanyahu, who's committing all these war crimes, who's allowed. The West is not bringing pressure to bear on him. They still give Israel weapons day in, day out, etc. And for us as Africans, we've got to begin to have a rethink as to the kind of relationship we have with, these Westerners, whether we would be quick to hand over our own, who commit crimes against humanity. If African leaders were to commit crimes in view of the hypocrisy, especially by Europe, especially by Britain. And this is I was watching the BBC, and the British Home Secretary bluntly refused to indicate whether or not Netanyahu would be arrested if he were to come to, the UK. I mean, this is completely unacceptable, but it only exposes, the hypocrisy of these racists, who are excited that because the people of Palestine are probably not pink-nosed people, because if this were to happen, to any European country, they would be up in arms, they would oppose it, they would be outraged. Look at what is happening, in Russia. Look at the sanctions against Russia. Look at the crazy things they're saying about Putin. In spite of the fact that what Putin has done pales in comparison, to what this criminal called Netanyahu, has done over the last year and several months. And for those who have been quick to say, look, the Palestinians started this, clearly have a very short memory, not beyond October 7, 2023. Palestinians have undergone, such egregious violations of their rights by these terrorists in Tel Aviv for the last 76 years. Are we now beginning to say that if people were attacked, if people were deprived of their humanity, if people were killed, if children, the number of kids in Israeli prisons are unbelievable. The number of journalists they are killing, they've killed over the years, doctors, etc. And all of a sudden, Hamas puts up pressure and the world is gone amok because, the Palestinians have decided that they've had enough. If this were to happen to any country in the world, if this were to happen to Kenyans, where we are subjected to persecution, where we are murdered, where we are under blockade for 75 years, if the generation beyond me did not rise in arms, I'm sure our generation, including yourselves, would have been up in arms, against whoever was persecuting us.
Okay, but Ras, in all of this, the United States of America says that the ICC lacks jurisdiction. I want to find out from you, will this be a blow in the attempt to arrest the Israeli Prime Minister?
It's most unfortunate, but, American policy has never changed towards people they don't like. Whether it's Democrats that are in the White House or the Republicans, it's always been like that. And don't forget also, about 90% of American politicians are in the pocket of Israeli lobbies. They finance their campaigns. There's a criminal organization called IPAC. They put in millions and millions of dollars every year to support candidates who are pro-Israeli, from Biden to Trump to whoever. So I'm not entirely surprised. The US of A, because it's not accountable, has decided not to be a signatory to the ICC convention. But the entirety of the world must rise up and say no. This is clearly a genocide, and we can't tolerate these things happening on our television. I mean, look at how ladies are blown off, how women are blown off. Look at the starvation, blockade, harassment, imprisonment of doctors and journalists, medics, It's unbelievable, that the world has put up with this all of these years. And that is why I encourage African leaders every opportunity I get that they've got to take a firm step. America cannot dictate, especially when this is a country that sings from the highest heavens about rights, about human rights, about democracy, etc. Israel is not a democratic country. Israel is a settler colonial entity that has terrorized Palestinians for more than 76 years. We have to call it spade a spade.
Right. But
so
let's talk
the
about Ghana
world-
now. So in the event that Netanyahu decides to come to Ghana, should he be arrested here?
If it is, I doubt if he would come to Ghana. In view of the fact that Ghana is a signatory to the ICC convention, in view of the fact that Ghana has an obligation to have him arrested. But if he were to step foot in our country, my government should not hesitate, to have that criminal, changed and sent to the ICC in the Netherlands to face justice for the murder, for the criminal killing of women, children, elderly, and persons with disability.
Right, thank you very much. Ras Mubarak is a former Kumbungu Member of Parliament.
Well, and on that note, we draw the curtains on this week's edition of Starr Today on Starr 103.5 FM. It's been a long run to 2 hours.
I agree. But you know what's most memorable?
What?
The commissioning of events of projects in constituencies.
Yes.
Yeah, that is what I find most exciting this week.
Okay, well.
With the Bank of Ghana.
The Bank of Ghana.
The Bank Square, and then
the flower pots.
The flower pots
Interesting.
interchange.
Yes. Well, it's been an exciting run for us, and we appreciate your run with us also here. But what we are seeing here, before we go quickly, there is a memo that is calling for a recall of Parliament to consider outstanding public business, and it's from the majority leader and leader of government business, Alexander Apenyomarkin, to Speaker Bagbin. He says, Speaker Bagbin, call Parliament back immediately. Let's consider some outstanding public issues and business. And he has tabled what? About 18 of those issues
he talks
that
about
need to be considered.
Environmental Protection Agency Bill, Social Protection Bill, Customs Amendments Bill, Budget Bill 2023, Ghana Boundary Commission Bill 2023, University of Mampong Bill 2024, Free Secondary Education Bill. The very,
It's exciting, and it's a tall list. But the interesting bit is that, let me read this part. It says, Mr. Speaker, I submit that reconvening Parliament at this juncture would send a powerful message of national unity and institutional stability. It will also demonstrate that even as we approach the peak of the electoral season, Parliament remains steadfast in its constitutional duties and committed to advancing the national interest through bipartisan cooperation. But we've heard from the NDC MPs. They've said they will not come.
We just
you
hope
can
that,
call
see,
Parliament.
So the thing
you
is
won't
that
come.
the NDC MPs can decide to come, but the NPP MP will decide to go and have a caucus meeting.
And no, but as it stands now, now they want Parliament called because Supreme Court has ruled
The last time
in
on
their
November
favor.
7, they wanted a recall.
Yes, but that one Supreme Court had not ruled. But Supreme Court has ruled, and now I remember hearing some judge. He says, "Speaker, don't try. We won't come."
They won't come.
Mind you, after the Speaker has 7 days. Within 7 days, within which to notify Parliament of a recall.
Yeah.
And then when he notifies to, there is an extra 7 days, by which time we would have voted.
We'd be done voting.
Well, we'll see how things turn out. It's going to be an exciting weekend, also going into the next week. But like I always tell you on Fridays, don't do what I won't do. Be safe out there. Let's eat healthy, drink healthy, stay off the fizzy drink simply because it's in abundance
You
on a
cannot
weekend.
force us.
But I'll put off your microphone. My name is Joshua Kodjo Mensah, and I'll see you this week with
Tutuwaa, Danso. Thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely weekend. This bulletin, however, was produced by Echo and assisted by Benjamin Saki, Prince Etienne, and Joey made sure it was possible on social media. Have a good evening.
Have a wonderful one.